Live.
Okay.
When
3,
we last left
2,
off,
1, go.
when we last left off, there had been much political discussion involving the children of Cain and their descendants within one Lily's dorm room. We last left off with Marcus and Lily effectively having a pissing contest about what needed to be done. And now we have the glassworker with another option. Alright, look, I get it, Lily. I get it, Marcus. These things can start or prevent a war. I don't want them in our territory more than anyone else. So I have a compromise. One that I think you will enjoy, Lily. One that I think you will approve of, Marcus. And one that I think our dear Josh will like as well. The compromise is this. For any that are currently in the city, who we know within the Camarilla, they know not to come in to our territory. They just know. And because of this, if they're in our territory, they need to be what is called staked or torpid if they are in it. This does not kill them, it just beats the living hell out of them and leaves them paralyzed. After which, we present them back to their, what was it, their government unit or whatever it is. If by some chance they get killed, whoever killed them, or if you're unable, one of us, will provide a weregild to them. I believe all of you are familiar with what a weregild is.
Blood money.
If for some reason we come across one who does not know it, and we know what they are, we tell them to leave. If they do not leave and they put up a fight, we again will torpor them if able, or we will dust them. I will go ahead and say this. The dust of them could be very useful to me, and if you get any, I would greatly appreciate it. It has a resonance that is quite useful, as Josh and Lily may remember.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What does it do?
It's not what it does, it's what I do. But that's neither here nor there.
We have to remember when this first agreement was made between our kind and their kind, it was in the very, very early days of this court getting itself established. And we did not understand our neighbors to the south as much as we do now. I know that Locke did as much as she could for us in that moment to get us the best deal possible. But she's not with us right now, and we have to come up with our own solution. And me personally, Glassworker's proposal kind of works. It's an addendum that we can use. It's an addendum that we can present to them to prevent any further misunderstandings.
And we have a wonderful, wonderful ambassador for our cause as well, who's doing a job for me as we speak.
But just, guys, what is actually the misunderstanding? There is no misunderstanding. No leeches have been in the Bronx. It's very simple. They have not been here. Why are we actually going forward and being like, yeah, sure, come in, enter? I mean, sure, no offense call to you. What happened to you was terrible. But when it comes to the Bronx, no one has yet dared to go here. Why would we actually, like, basically invite them in? No, this rule still stands. It's a good rule. Leave it at that. Sure.
Lily,
If suddenly like 50, shut up. If like 50 leeches suddenly enter the Bronx, sure, then we can discuss maybe renegotiating this truce that we have at this point. But until then, what's wrong with it? It's very simple. It's very clear. Every idiot can understand it.
It's
you get
too
in here,
loose.
you get fucked.
It's too loose, Lily. I like it, but it's too loose. But back to what I said, that is more along the lines of you telling them to get fucked. Notice how I said accidentally. I've seen how sharp your claws are. I know how deadly Josh can be. I know what each of our kind can do. We all could accidentally have something happen. They don't know that.
It's our reputation up until this point that has kept most of Kane's bastards away from the Bronx. They just instinctively know. They tell their newcomers to stay the hell out of the Bronx simply because they've been told by fucking Silas, by what they're calling their warden, that that's our place. Our reputation precedes us. We're talking about should accidents happen. Should those people not be knowledgeable about it? We're going with a maybe a merciful option, but this is definitely an option that will go ahead and prevent more bloodshed and misunderstandings. If they come back in full force, and not even if it isn't accidental or incidental in any way, shape, or form, we go ahead and defend ourselves as our right. And if we find any one of them thieving, that is for strictly forbidden.
They
Go
meet
ahead
the
and
sun
dust them.
then.
So to summarize, if I'm understanding everything correctly, if a leech enters our territory and they are ignorant of the treaty between our two groups, they are to be informed of that and escorted out. If they enter our territory and are well aware of this agreement, they are to be staked and returned to their government, and or potentially killed if that comes to pass. And if they are caught feeding or otherwise with a clear malice intent, they die. Is that about it?
That sounds reasonable to me.
That
Well-
pretty much sums up all of our points.
Well, let me say this. In my personal experience, if I take that, it's very similar to what I handle in my everyday life. When, let's just say, two parties are not quite fond of each other, it is better to deliver the message that we don't want them to fuck with us. If we bring the guy back, one of the intruders or attackers or whatever you want to call them for the situation, if we bring him back alive, yet in worse condition than when he came, then if we bring him dead and we declare instant war, which is something I don't know if we want to do. So, what was his name? He actually speaks to the phone. Your Glespo? So,
No, he's our glass worker.
oh, the glass worker. So, yeah, I think his idea was good.
Lily just throws one empty bottles that came out of the bag because she's been ignoring Josh's order not to drink. She opens a new one and she just takes a good sip.
The
Sure.
Rev
Whatever.
is simply annoyed with all this bullshit talking, blah blah blah. Simply places a card, an old card of Reverend Michael T. Clark on the tables in front of Mr. Dunson and Mr. Salvadori, and says, "You know where to reach me when you want to have a proper hand down. Give me a call." So far, I think this political bullshit has gone far enough. I'll go outside and do what we're supposed to do. Less talking, more defending. And the Reverend will step out, ignoring any other reference of him maybe needing to come back.
Bye, Rev.
Well, I honestly think that this is a reasonable idea. It shows that we are not to be trifled with, but also that we are not completely without mercy.
Sure, it's fine for now. But I still don't think that mercy will get us anywhere with these kind of creatures.
It'll
Mercy
get us
will allow me.
closer to their neck, Lily. Mercy will get us closer to their neck.
Give them one finger and they'll take your paw.
Oh,
But sure, we'll go along with it. It's fine.
don't worry, Lily. Mistakes happen. If we understand them, they will understand our mistakes. He actually gestures his fingers as he means that mistakes are not really mistakes.
It's fine. She just keeps swinging that bottle. She's like, fuck it.
I hope you're gonna stay home after that, right, Lily?
Whatever.
Well
Marcus,
then.
Yes.
you had something important you needed to tell me?
It's more suited to a private conversation.
There's another room over there.
Very well. And he gets up, walking over to the other room.
Josh does as well. Closes the door.
Okay. Alright, Josh. You understand what the original mandate of my house was, correct?
Messengers.
And
Heralds. Nuclear fire.
we were also created to guide, to direct, for want of a better term.
Oh, please tell me you did not mute yourself.
No.
Try that again, then.
I have been fuck. Sorry, chair broke. I have been trying to act in accordance to my mandate, to the rules of my kind, to everything else. But sadly, here's the thing. Let's suppose I assumed the mantle of leader, as I probably should. Can you honestly tell me that Lily would accept it?
Do you think Thomas would accept it? And we're out again.
Thomas is less relevant than he thinks he is. Can you hear me?
Yes. Now it's a little bit better.
Alright, just give me a moment. I think I know how to fix it.
Yeah.
Any better now?
Yeah, I still hear you.
Okay. Thomas is a lot less relevant than he believes himself to be. It's true, he has a lot of relevance, his skills are useful, but the fact of the matter is that his desire seems to be to operate outside the court. In that sense, he's an independent. In that sense, he has less danger than he might present otherwise. And that is also why I wanted to speak to you.
Mm-hmm.
You see, whatever else you may be, you have essentially become the de facto leader of the court. It's true that Cross is technically the tyrant, but you have essentially assumed the role. You might not want to, but it has become the case. If I am to try and assume the mantle myself, I'll need your help. And also there is the other factor. This is where it becomes the private conversation. When I first escaped the pit, I was angry and could easily have become a Ravenger, become a monster again. If it hadn't been for you, I would be. You're possibly the only one in that room I genuinely respect. I like Lily, it's true, and I do think she has some good points, but you are the one I respect. With that in mind, if I assume the position of tyrant, or even attempt to, I'd want you there to keep me essentially in line, so I didn't make the sort of screw-ups I could have made.
Mr.
Without that, the
Fitzroy,
risk is too great.
Mr. Fitzroy, I can be many things for you. I can be that soft whisper in your ear when you sit on that throne, telling you about all the different secrets of all your different court members, and I also whisper to you in the other ear as your conscience, as your guide. And also, just go ahead and stand at your right hand. Give you a moral compass to work with. Or I could be standing on the court floor, praising your name and showing my support. Would you have me do all these things?
The main thing I would ask of you is this. I'm not interested in having a spy. The way I see it is, if a court requires a spy, it's an ineffective court. Everyone has to be willing to... Alright, I'm going to let you in a little secret. During the war, I was told about something very important, that could potentially have had me defect from the Morning Star's cause. Not the war, but this was during the shattering. I went and told the Morning Star. That's what I mean when I say an effective court. You have to be able to go to your leader, tell him, and expect that he will trust your decision. As I say, I trust Lily to an extent. I like her. I think she has good points. If I were in charge, it would be a case of I would listen to Lily. I would take her points on board and then ask you. Ask for your counsel. And that's what I need. Advice when others provide opposing views, so as I don't become the human definition of a tyrant.
So, you want
And also
counsel.
and a conscience, so that I don't start becoming the man I was towards the end.
Marcus, I think this is a fantastic arrangement. I do not want the leadership of our particular court. I find that's too much responsibility to be placed on just my shoulders. I think you're more than capable of doing it. You have the voice, you have the stamina, you have the charisma. You can do it. You just need a direction to run with.
Hmm.
If you need a counsel, you have it. You have it from me. I can bring Lily along if she doesn't claw my eyes out. And we can go ahead and give you that good counsel you need and point you in the right direction. It's up to you at the end of the day to marshal all the others, and that is where you'll find your most resistance. Marshalling the others. Thomas, as you've seen, independent. Lily, as you've seen, independent. Salvador, you haven't met him. He seems willing to play ball. But even Clark himself seems to be a follower. You have to point them in the right direction and convince them that that direction is right after our counsel.
Clark, I think, is loyal, perhaps not to the court, but at least seemingly to me. I think he will at least accept and perhaps help. Lily, I'm afraid I'd leave up to you. As much as I could influence her, she is... Shall we say she's your area of expertise? And I've already had her threaten to claw me to pieces once. I don't want it happening a second time. The dear Reverend is difficult. I don't think he'd follow me. I don't think so. However, we did have an agreement once, which I regret to say I didn't fully follow. So I'll need to try and reignite that, bring it back in. I'll have to admit, there were situations that essentially meant I couldn't speak to any others. I've been so busy of late. Only small matters, nothing worthy of interest, but tugged in 1,000 different directions. And of course, the glass worker. I have my suspicions that, well, I don't know him. But you and Lily have vouched for him, and if I'm willing to trust your counsel, then I have to assume that for the moment, he is trustworthy. And ultimately, whether or not he chooses to follow me necessarily, if he is allied with me, and thereby allied with the court, he can at least be welcomed in. And of course, lastly, we have the question of those of our number who are not here. Oscar, for example. I do not believe that he will be too much of an issue. I think it's
Oscar, as far as I can see, is even more independent than his fiend brother. He seems to spend most of his times far away from the court, looking at the movement of the spheres. Let's just call it. He seems to be rather engrossed in it. He misses something.
Yes. I think overall he is very unlikely to be an issue. Now, there is one question that does occur to me. Besides what will happen if Cross ever pops up again, which I doubt he ever will. But there is the question of Constance. If Locke returns. I would hope that by that point I would have either proven myself a good leader or been deposed for being an idiot. But if I'm in the middle ground and she returns, there's always the question of what she would do.
Locke, just looking at the current policies that we're making, would have called us betrayers to his, or at least should I say, her original intentions, her original ideals for the Lesser Key.
Yes.
It'll take some convincing. If we're still in that middle transition period, if we haven't been deposed or we haven't succeeded in our original goals and set up a proper working court, she'll look at us with suspicion. And should that happen, I would still be there for you. I would still be propping you up. I would speak well of you to her. And hopefully she'd take that counsel.
I'm also going to tell you something, Josh. I can't really express this to them, because if I do, in this case she'd probably try to lynch me. But the truth is, I feel pity for the leeches. Yeah, no, there is a reason. There is a reason. We didn't choose to go to the pit. There were some who would have actually chosen outright destruction. Thinking on it, I probably would. But we accepted our fate. And I think the older ones, the ones who have come to know their condition and understand it, yes, let Lily rip them to pieces. If they break our laws, they should know better. But those we can identify as young, as essentially children in their world, they deserve greater leeway. And they're the ones I pity. Not the older ones, but the younger, who perhaps didn't choose this existence. They're still close enough to who they once were to deserve pity.
Well,
I don't like them, but I pity them.
My advice? Measure out mercy to those who deserve it. Measure out justice who also deserve it. The older that these particular species become, the more they have to compromise themselves in order to simply survive. It takes quite a deal of effort, will, and sin to survive hundreds and hundreds of years. It takes quite a feat to survive hundreds and hundreds of years and remain what you once were. Remain reasonably moral, ethical. So, Fitzroy, it's very, very hard to look at any one particular kindred and determine their age, whether they be young, whether they be old. They can lie to you. They can lie to you very, very well.
Then perhaps this. You had a mirror that would let you see the true form of our kind. Our malefactor. What if he created a mirror or something along those lines, maybe a lens, that could show their true form, their true age?
Josh actually grabs you by the shoulders. He can do that! Oh my god, he can!
In that case, we have a way. Those, or even better. No. If we had a Lamassu among our ranks, we could sense the degree of their moral corruption. Actually see how damaged they are. Those who are essentially saturated in sin. Destroy them. Those who are still comparatively innocent be spared. But for the moment, we can judge their age. Use that as a way of determining.
Fitzroy, this is definitely a project, and it's definitely a good indicator, but it shouldn't be our only one.
Okay? Oh yes. I'd also
People
suggest
are sometimes just born rotten.
Oh yes. That's why, as I say, if we can find... Speaking, that actually reminds me. The information that wasn't recovered from the library. Have you made any progress towards finding out where it might be, or what it might have been?
Okay. Right. What it might have been... Hold on one second. Don't want to leave Lily out there all by her lonesome just a little bit.
Yeah. Probably best not to make this too long, otherwise she might get a little antsy.
A little jealous, actually.
Maybe. Doubtful, though.
Josh will go ahead and re-enter the room where he presumably will see Lily just comped out.
That's gonna depend on the stamina roll, though. Stamina plus fate, right? Nope.
Yeah.
She is starting her third bottle, actually. She's still looking rather well.
Marcus walks in just looking a little more cheered than he did, but still not looking like with a huge grin or anything. Lily, do you mind if I have a quick word with you? Myself and Yuval will have to leave shortly, but do you mind if I have a quick word with you?
Sure. Bring it.
He walks over and actually, unusually for him, actually sits down on the rock, legs crossed like a schoolboy. I'm sorry if I've annoyed you.
You're not annoying me, but you listen to half of what I say, ignore the other half, make it something else, and blow it up.
I can understand your point of view with regards to keeping the leeches out of the Bronx. And believe it or not, had it not been for this Ajax thing, I'd be agreeing with you wholeheartedly. The Ajax thing, however, it's pushed us forward. They now know they can kill us. And that's
Yes,
more...
that's why we should let them know that we retaliate and that we fight. And that they still need to watch out for us, that they need to take care.
Now, there is a small problem with that, in that Ajax isn't a member of their government.
He's an anarch, which...
Exactly. Actually, Silas gave us permission to kill him. He said, please, he asked us to kill him. It's like...
I don't...
And that's the point. I think if we kill Ajax, perhaps the Camarilla wouldn't dare break the truce. Perhaps they are scared of us. The Anarchs don't seem to be.
Okay, well that's fine. I mean, this Ajax thing, I have my opinion about it, but it has nothing to do with the situation in the Bronx. Nothing has happened within the Bronx ever since that Timothy dude, I believe, was gone. Nothing has happened there. I want to keep it that way. I don't want leeches here. I don't want anyone in this particular area, because this is the area that we can protect, to have to go through that thing.
Okay then. How's this sound? I'll do what Josh suggested earlier, and I'll set up that Elysium somewhere in Manhattan. And every single one of the leeches that comes will be given a quiet little nudge and a warning that the Bronx are entirely off limits. Make sure that every single leech that goes, regardless of their affiliations, and point out to them if they do enter the Bronx, they're under demon jurisdiction. And whether that means they're tied up in a bow and sent home, or just left out to meet the sun, is up to us. Make sure they all know.
Listening. Now you're listening. It only takes like what, an hour or something? Jeez. Honestly, she just puts
Lily.
that bottle back on her feet and give it a good swing.
My wish is this. All I want is comparative peace. I give them that's the thing, I give them the choice. If they all know the stakes, then fine. That's their problem. I don't care about the entire leech race. The only ones that bother me are the ignorant ones. If none of them are ignorant, let them all pay the price.
It's the ignorance of them that's the most dangerous. That's when when they don't care about anything yet, because they don't know. That's worse. Fuck it. I don't want to think about leeches anymore.
Okay. Well, anyway, myself and Yuval. Actually, myself and Al will need to go. I hope you don't mind, Al, but I've been asked to escort you.
Okay.
Yankee Stadium, actually. We've been invited to Yankee Stadium. Clark, would you mind coming too, or would you rather stay and continue having a drink?
I'm good for drinks right now. Company if you need me.
Okie dokie. He stands up and actually lightly pats Lily on the shoulder. I don't ignore what you say, Lily. Believe it, I do actually take it in.
She just punches him in the side. It's actually gonna hurt pretty much, probably.
Yeah. He winces, and you can see he's actually trying to hold it in, but it's still obviously a bit of pain. I'll speak to you tomorrow, perhaps. Good night.
Sure. Night.
And he walks to the door, looking over at Al and Clark. Gentlemen?
I'll gesture slightly to Josh. Although it's pretty funny, he will do the same to the phone on the table. As he touches with his palm on Lily's shoulder and tells her, "Good night, sleep well, don't do any troubles." And also, I will give a quick roll or something.
Oh, never trouble.
Nice. Lily. She is not drunk.
Ah, fuck! Lily just feels that that buzz that's slowly filling her head, and she feels it disappearing, and she just looks at him. She actually growls. She's like, "Really?" Oh.
Josh will simply pass over another bottle. That just means you get to taste delicious, delicious wine more.
Exactly, that's my point.
Ah, screw you guys. And she uncorks that bottle and just quickly takes like 5 sips. Like,
Really, it's been a while since we just had a night in for ourselves. Let's go ahead and take this one, okay?
Yeah.
Have fun, you two. And as he walks past the phone, he taps it lightly and just says, "We're on our way, I suspect."
Yeah, I'll follow you.
As Marcus gets to Josh, he pats him on the shoulder.
Wait, Marcus, are you actually going to the glassworker?
I don't know. I got a text saying that I was to go to Yankee Stadium, and I have my suspicions it's him. But for all I know, it's a leech with a flamethrower.
Oh man, shit. Okay, never mind then. Just if you see him, I have a present for him. I was like, if you're going that way, you could bring it along. But
if it is
never
him,
mind.
then I'll tell him about it and see if he can come and collect it or something.
Fine. Yeah, it's not something that you can just tuck in your pocket or something.
Okie dokie. He pats Josh on the shoulder. Thank you. And by the way, if you can get in contact with the Reverend, tell him that I'm sorry it's taken that long to keep up with our agreement, and I'll do what I can to get what I promised him.
You're actually leaving with 2 guys who just got his phone number.
I know, but it's probably quicker to tell Josh.
I get everywhere.
Good night. Good night, Lily.
Night.
Good evening, Marcus.
He nods to Josh and walks out of the room, heading downstairs to the car that is still waiting, with a mildly miffed chauffeur, I dare say.
Clark is obviously following, giving a little salute to everyone as he leaves.
Once it's just Josh and Lily inside the apartment, Lily will hear a almost mechanical meow from a little figurine in the corner, a wink of light, and it will stop moving.
Lily, we'll have to catch up more later, but for now, do you just want to watch a stupid movie?
Yeah, that would be nice.
They revamped the original trilogy in HD.
I was already wondering when you would bring it up.
Pop it in, please.
I will. And the 2 of them will probably either install themselves on a couch or on the rug, and they will start the movie, and we will end the scene.